However strong you think you are, Thragg is stronger.
Thagg's death is the only thing that matters.
They will shatter before our strength, our devotion, our vengeance.
As Season 4 of Invincible approaches, there's been one character on everybody's minds more than any other. The grand regent of the Viltrum Empire for the last few thousand years, Thragg. I've made a few videos on Thragg in the past, but in those videos I kinda downplayed him and did not dissect his true strength. However, this video is going to be going over everything Thragg has to offer in detail and explaining how strong he truly is, and of course, this video will contain spoilers, so if you somehow haven't been spoiled by the fanbase already, I highly recommend reading the comics and coming back to this video afterwards. If you are new to the channel, my name is Vertics, and if you enjoy power scaling content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave a like. I'm going to be dropping a handful of Invincible videos in the next few months that, trust me, you won't want to miss. Thragg was made Grand Regent of the Viltrum Empire over a few thousand years ago, after the Viltrumite Civil War. This battle took place after the previous king of Viltrum, Argall, was murdered by Thaddeus, and the original Scourge virus took over, wiping out the majority of Viltrum's population. To decide who would lead them, and without anyone to enforce order, the Viltrumites would fight each other brutally to the death, in what is now known as the Viltrumite Civil War. This war saw many come out with strength towering above the rest, but one man was clearly at the top of the food chain, and that man was, of course, Thragg. The man was bred to be the top combatant the Viltrum Empire could offer, and was recognized immediately for his immense strength and talent. The most common and accurate comparison is if Broly from Dragon Ball was trained and cared for by the Saiyans instead of outcasted. Before the man even appeared on screen, he was already standing at the very top of the strength hierarchy, and when he first debuts is when he gets a traitor to expose the coalition's location and sends his soldiers to ravage the planet. And funny enough, the only reason he didn't do anything in this moment, even though he really wanted to, was so he could protect Argall's skull. When he first starts to move is immediately afterwards, when the coalition of planets form their all-star squad, all for them to get soloed by Thragg. He starts off by punching Space Racer, sending him flying, and tanking Mark's attack, and sending him flying as well. This Mark is fresh and healthy, coming off of 2 fights against Conquest, where in the second fight he showed he was able to keep up with Conquest blow for blow this time, and was able to physically overpower him and successfully kill him by choking him out and then gaining his own version of a Zenkai boost. We know that not only do Viltrumites get stronger with age, but of course whenever they face a battle, and one that pushes them past their limits, it buffs their strength greatly. We know that just minor Viltrumites have destroyed planets to the point there's nothing to return to, and Conquest is an elite soldier of Viltrum that of course scales above most Viltrumite soldiers. Yet even when Mark can surpass this level of strength, it is still nothing in the face of Thragg, who after sending Mark flying, does one of the funniest things in the series, by catching Oliver's arm and saying, "You're a funny one, I gather. Always cracking jokes. Very good. I enjoy a good joke myself. Stop me if you've heard this one before." And punched Oliver's jaw apart and ripped his arm off. Like, oh my god, Thragg, you are unironically fucking hilarious for this. What a jokester you are, man. Give it up for him. Thragg then lets an enraged Mark land a fury of attacks onto him, yet again to no avail, and tells Mark that even Conquest feared him. You can immediately tell how much of an insane threat Thragg is. Now, what happens after is where some people like to cap the verse, and it's kind of easy to tell that they consume the series through TikTok spoilers with the destruction of planet Viltrum. If you are under the assumption that this is the cap for the verse, then you are royally mistaken. It's very important to note why Thaddeus wanted all of him, Nolan, Mark, Alan, and Space Racer's gun to be fired at the planet Viltrum. As we saw when Thaddeus grabs Mark, he says, "We only have one chance at this." And it's not because they can only pull this feat off once. No, it's because once Thragg sees what they are trying to do, he is going to stop it. Which is why once Thaddeus saw the perfect moment, they all striked. I mean, Space Racer's gun is showed to have destroyed much more on its own in the show, and is held in regard as the strongest weapon in the universe. And once the planet is destroyed, even minor tier characters like Oliver were able to endure the explosion along with the other minor Viltrumite soldiers present. It's clear from context that this is not the cap of the verse, and that they only had one single chance to pull this off before their plan was failed and interrupted by Thragg. Planetary is such an insane lowball for Thragg. The guy after Viltrum blows up becomes so enraged, he rips off Thaddeus' head and uses it to hit Alan and his body to push away Nolan, and then crushes his head completely. He then begins his slaughter on the coalition of planets' army, again, tanking every attack Mark throws at him, and no-diffs him before doing the same to Nolan, and chucking away Battle Beast with ease, whom we will get into later. Of course, Nolan scales above Mark and scales above Conquest, yet even when the two of them had Battle Beast's help, it still was not enough. As Mark then asks Nolan what they can do, to where Nolan just outright admits there's nothing they can do. The guy was bred to be at the very top of the universe, and they simply just cannot defeat him. As Thragg almost ends the series right then and there, by punching a hole straight through Nolan, and was about to crush Mark's head, if not for Krieg and the rest of the Viltrumites wanting to preserve their numbers. Even this 2018 Golden State Warriors lineup was nothing when it came time to battle Thragg. After returning from their ass beating to Earth, Mark and Nolan would find Thragg and the Viltrumites right at their doorstep, claiming Earth as their new home for the Viltrumites after the Coalition destroyed planet Viltrum. Once again, when trying to stop him, Mark's attacks have no effect, and with no other choice but to submit, Mark would have to accept the conditions, and wouldn't see him again for a bit. And it's here where we can go over Thragg's speed, which easily is in the MFTL Plus ranges, scaling above Nolan, who could transverse through space thousands of light years away from Earth and strike faster than he can react, easily giving him massively faster than light speeds. Not only does Nolan get tremendously faster and stronger throughout the series, but so does Thragg, who was able to get to Earth before he and Mark did, which took them a few days to do, and the fastest ship the Coalition had. He is most likely trillions of times faster than the speed of light, if not more. The next time we see Thragg is when the Coalition, now led by Alan, discovers a new and upgraded version of the Scourge virus that they can use on the Viltrumites, with the downside being it will most likely affect and kill the human beings on Earth as well. Weighing his options, Alan decides to go with the latter and consults Nolan about it, where he obviously gets upset and disagrees with Alan's choice, and tries to get Alan to stop by force. However, Alan easily gets the upper hand, beating Nolan down, and with Oliver would head over to Earth, where Mark confronts them about this and is met with the same resistance as his dad. And Alan would ask him, "I just beat your father. What chance do you have?" To which the man of the hour, Thragg, makes his return and states, "He has me," and warns Alan and Oliver off. Even with the new and improved version of the Scourge virus, this still wasn't enough to threaten the likes of Thragg, who states he can easily speed over to Alan and rip his head off before the virus takes effect, and Alan has to accept this truth. And as Oliver tries to take off with the virus and infects Mark, Thragg and his top doctors do everything they can to save Mark, and successfully do so. But during this process, Thragg would discover Mark and Nolan were heirs of Argall, and in his frustration over the fact the two biggest traitors in history turned out to be the heirs all along, he killed the scientist who figured it out, and goes over to kill Mark, whom is saved by Dinosaurus, one of the most underrated characters in the series. And this is where Thragg's true scaling comes into play. Now, before Mark was infected by the Scourge virus, he and Dinosaurus would encounter an enemy by the name of Omnipotus. This guy is outright stated to have destroyed a solar system through a chain reaction, and while this doesn't scale him directly to that level, to pull this feat off, you would need to be able to destroy a large star, if not multiple, being most likely the sun. And this is the bare minimum strength he possesses, as there is another statement of him making the claim he completely obliterated his native universe with the abilities, get ready, to warp reality, reshape matter and energy, bend time and space, and alter, twist, or possibly even rewrite the laws of physics itself, making Omnipotus at the bare minimum a large star level being while having a universal level ceiling with the best hacks in the verse since Eve is nerfed by plot. Yet Dinosaurus can one-shot him with ease by biting his skull off. The same Dinosaurus, after failing to damage him with his initial attack and getting easily beaten up, would try the exact same move that killed and one-shot Omnipotus on Thragg, to which his jaw and teeth shattered on impact, and then would proceed to get no-diffed by Thragg, and the only reason he didn't die was because the more his heart stopped, the more the ship they were on that Thragg valued would blow up. So an attack that could one-shot a large star-level being at the bare minimum, if not higher, did more damage on Dinosaurus than it did to Thragg. And Mark himself isn't on the same level of Dinosaurus at this point in the series, as soon after they would fight, where Dinosaurus obliterated Mark and was easily able to make a fake out kill on him and had to sit there and let Mark beat on him for him to die. Mark even at this point isn't on the level of a character who got no-diffed by Thragg. You see why I said Planetary is a massive lowball for Thragg now? His next showcase of feats come when he spots Nolan having a lovely dinner with Debbie and crashes it by attacking Nolan and easily demonstrating how much stronger he is and explaining to Nolan he's doing this because he discovered he was the heir of Argall. Even still, Nolan is no match for him, as he is at death's door once more, and is again saved by the Viltrumites, who followed Thragg there and learned the truth from him. They would then give Thragg the one and only ass beating he would actually get, as he was caught off guard and was beaten by multiple elite Viltrumite soldiers. But it is important to note that this isn't the strongest version of Thragg at all, as after being exiled by Nolan, who is now the ruler of the Viltrum Empire, he heads over to Thraxa to breed and create hybrid soldiers of his own, that he trains by one-shotting the same Ragnar that bit off Conquest's arm. Alan would find Thragg's location and send Battle Beast to kill him, to which once the battle starts, multiple Ragnir are dropped onto them that injure Thragg, and in the name of a good fight, Battle Beast helps Thragg kill the remaining Ragnar and give himself the same injury Thragg was given. The fight then begins in flashing moments, but during these moments, we see that in terms of hand-to-hand combat, Thragg easily has Battle Beast beat, who was constantly resorting on biting and clawing at Thragg to get an edge. If you pay attention to every panel, Thragg was constantly sending Battle Beast flying with his attacks, and even when using his incredibly sharp teeth and claws, Thragg still found ways to get the jump on Battle Beast and ultimately came out on top by ripping out his heart and crushing it before passing out after a 4-day-long fight with him. Some of this fight was off-screened and it wasn't written in the best way. Like I said, it happened in flashing moments and was kind of annoying for how big of a fight this was. I'm really hoping the show does it the justice it deserves. And by the way, Battle Beast is someone who is stated to have mastery of all known fighting styles and has his own unique hand-to-hand style that Thragg surpassed, along with unlimited endurance, physical prowess, and high resistance to injury. Thragg defeated and outlasted a guy with unlimited endurance and mastery of all known fighting styles. I really can't stress how much I see people on TikTok underrate the living hell out of Thragg. Once again, this isn't even his strongest version, as the man would have 5 years of experience and more strength to gain before the end of the series, as when Mark goes through a wormhole, he gets sent in the past and experiences what is only a few days for him, but 5 whole years in his original timeline. After coming back and getting cucked by a random alien, he would get back together with Eve and gets doxxed by his own brother, as Thragg and his kids Onin and Ursol would pull up to kill Mark and his family. And when Oliver tries to stop him, he gets killed in one shot by Thragg. And as Mark tries to avenge his fallen brother by crushing Onin's throat, he himself would get literally ripped in half by Thragg and left to die before being saved by plot convenience tool herself in Adam Eve, who must have given him some insane strength buff, as the next time Thragg appears is at the end of the series, when the Coalition and the Viltrumites take on Thragg and his army. The war starts by Thragg coming in and swinging Ragnar around like a fucking yo-yo and using them to take out his enemies before engaging in combat with Nolan once again. And would you believe it, Thragg once again beats the shit out of Nolan, but this time when he pierces his chest, he makes sure not to miss his heart afterwards and ends up killing Nolan. After being enraged, Mark charges at Thragg towards the nearby core of the sun to where they begin to have their final battle. Now, the reason I said Adam Eve must have boosted Mark's strength by an insane degree is because we just saw Mark still couldn't compete with Thragg, yet he is able to do so much better than he could before, and Nolan can. In fact, even when Thragg is defeated, Mark still wasn't stronger than him, as not only did Thragg fight Nolan before this, but Mark received assistance from Robot's suit to endure attacks and the heat of the sun, and was saved at the very end by Alan. During their fight in the sun's core, Thragg was still able to overpower him, and Mark had to pull him back in with him. From the very start, his plan was to take Thragg out alongside him, and was saved by some insane plot. Even Mark is saying the reason he is going to win is because he has help from so many people. Meanwhile, Thragg's army realizes the error of their ways and betrays him. Thragg didn't lose because of strength, no, he lost due to the overarching help Mark had in this fight, and if it wasn't for them fighting in the sun's core, well then it would not have ended up the way it did. Mark doesn't surpass Thragg until 500 years later during his time as Emperor of Viltrum, and even then, you could argue Thragg was stronger. As for where he scales to, well, we already discussed he is trillions of times faster than the speed of light, if not faster, making him a definite MFTL plus level being, and as for his attack potency, well, upscaling massively from the version of himself that could no-diff Dinosaurus, we can get Thragg up to solar system level in AP at the bare minimum, as large star level attacks, maybe even higher, already weren't effective at all against him, and after having years of battle and training, he only upscales from this and can defeat Battle Beast, who has unlimited endurance and physical prowess. Mind you, that solar system is the bare minimum for Thragg depending on how you feel about Omnipotus' scaling. Now, real quickly, I wanted to bring up 2 other statements that are not meant to be used, but just shows how powerful the author Robert Kirkman believes the top tiers of Invincible, and thus Thragg, to be, which is Viltrum Mark stating to have killed Spawn in his universe. Now, if you know anything about Spawn, you would understand how fucking crazy this feat is, as not only are they both made by Image Comics, so it is an accurate statement to make, but Spawn has some of the very best immortality hacks you can find in all of fiction, and has battled both of God and Satan at the same time. Like I said, this feat is not meant to be used, but just shows that the people that claim the top tiers of the series are planetary have clearly only read the series through TikTok spoilers. The second one is that Robert Kirkman has stated he believes Omni-Man is stronger than, get ready, Superman, which no the fuck he is not. but again displays how planetary is a massive lowball for these guys. And of course Thragg scales above Nolan and Viltrum mark, and I don't think these feats are to be taken seriously, but even still, we can see that the guy is far above the likes of planetary, and I see a lot of people really don't respect his level of power and underestimate his true strength. The man was bred to be at the very top of the universe, and damn it did he achieve that status. After watching this video, I really hope you have started to respect him more and see why Thragg is stronger than you thought. Well, that's it for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps with the algorithm and is very appreciated. Shout out to Tiberius for the thumbnail. Make sure to hit him up on Twitter, link in the description, as well as following my Twitter at Vertics_ for more of my takes. And without further ado, you guys can get out of here.